Collective, be watchful for self-righteousness. Collective, there is a general misunderstanding in this thing we're calling the church about what grace is. So, the definition of grace is unmerited favor. Unmerited favor. This is the definition of grace. So, think about what self righteousness says. Self righteousness tells us that there are things we must do. We have to go to church. We have to get baptized. We have to participate in the communion. We have to do this. We have to do that. When we start operating in the things that we feel we have to do, that's called a works gospel. You are operating in the law. You are doing these things because the law says you have to do them. That is the opposite of grace. There are scriptures that talk about God knowing us before the foundations of the earth. I think one of the things that is important for us to understand is that God does not operate in time. We tend to put God in a box with us, those of us who are in that box. We tend to put God in that box with us, and we tend to try to confine God to the things that we are confined by. If you ever notice someone who starts saying things like, "Oh, well, you can lose your salvation or you can be saved and then lose it," they're operating in time. They operate as if there was a course of events that happened where at one point in time you were righteous because of your actions, and then at another point in time you stopped performing those actions that made you righteous, so now you're going to hell. Think about what that denies on two levels. Number one, it denies how God operates, which is not in time. The other thing that it does is it denies the whole concept of unmerited favor. If I do certain things that make me righteous, if I practice certain things that make me righteous, then I don't need that grace. I have earned that salvation. If I if someone tells me that I must make a confession and that I must believe a thing in order to be saved, what they are saying is that these are actions that I must take to be saved. They are putting a timeline on God. They are saying this thing happens and then this thing happens. I make the confession, I believe, and then I'm saved. That's not how Spirit looks at it according to the Bible. According to the Bible, when I see things like, God saying that he knew us before the foundation of the earth, and when I see scriptures saying that there's nothing that can separate us from God, and so many other scriptures. And then when I look all throughout scripture and I see examples of this principle, when I see examples of people who were champions of God, people who were God's favorites, who were doing all manner of things that who were literally practicing all manner of things that someone else might consider immoral, yet they were secure. That is grace. That is grace, unmerited favor. And one of the things I need you to notice when folks come to you with this whole idea of losing your salvation, or there being some way possible that you can lose your connection with Spirit because of your actions. Generally, there seems to be either anger attached to it, as if they're saying, well, I'm doing these things, you got to do them too. Or there's just a total lack of compassion or total lack of concern for you in general. It's more of a thing where they're kind of getting some pleasure out of the prospect of you suffering. Collective, I need you to embrace that grace. I need you to embrace that whole idea that our place with God, our place with Spirit, is something that Spirit is doing. Because one of the things that the enemy is trying to do is chip away at our peace. They're trying to chip away at our security. And understand the underlying reason for this. Understand that the underlying reason is to change your vibration. The underlying reason is to bring you into a vibration of fear, a vibration of guilt. But the most damaging aspect of this self righteousness, of this frequency that they're trying to put on you, is to get you focused on actions rather than having you focused on a intimate personal relationship with Spirit. One of the primary things that this church does to keep you vibrating low is to get you focused on physical things rather than having you focus on spiritual things. Listen, rituals are not spiritual, they're physical in nature. They have you focusing on physical things outside of you. Spirit, the kingdom, is inside of you. Our main focus is supposed to be inside. And the primary focus of this whole self-righteousness it's a spirit. The whole purpose of it is to get you focusing on exterior things rather than focusing on that intimate internal relationship with Spirit. Collective, don't be deceived. Don't feel you have to argue with folks, because that's another thing they're trying to do, is to get you arguing with them. All of this stuff is really kind of a test. Okay? Don't let other people's lack of peace and lack of actual connection with Spirit, don't let those things compromise your connection with Spirit or your journey to connect deeper with Spirit. Don't be distracted. Don't be distracted by that Spirit. Don't fall in line. Don't conform. And don't let any message, any behavior, or anything take your peace away from you. Collective, I'd like for a moment for you to take things out of the context of the church. And I'd like to try to bring a picture to you um, outside of that context. If you are one of God's chosen, that means that you have been given certain gifts or certain powers, whatever you want to call it. Um, and understand that these gifts or powers are not for you. The gift or powers that you're given is for whatever mission you're here for. So if you are vibrating at a low frequency and you are one of these folks that has been given a certain power or a certain gift, then what you are going to transmit or what you are going to transform things into is that lower frequency. If you are vibrating at a higher frequency, then what you are going to transmit and what you're going to transform into is a higher frequency. That's why it is so important for the collective to be vibrating at that high frequency. Whatever frequency you are vibrating at is affecting more than yourself. If you are chosen, you are literally called to affect more than just yourself. So that's the importance of that high vibration. And then you begin to understand why there is so much coming so hard against that. The enemy is trying to stop that high vibration that you are transmitting. Your purpose here from spirit is to transform this planet, and the enemy knows it. So that's why your whole life, all this stuff has just come against you. All of this stuff, has happened to you, all this negative stuff. And you have this thing, God, why me? God, why me? Because you're being trained. Because when you step on that battlefield, those things are going to come against you. They're going to try to stop you from transmitting that high vibration. They are going to try to keep you on a low vibration. Do not fall for it. Think about the state that this planet is in and where we are right now. The Bible talks about um, God's chosen, God's people as being the salt of the earth, being the preservatives and the healers of the earth. The reason this earth is where it is right now is because God's people are being deceived. God's people are operating in the law instead of operating in the spirit. And God's people are transmitting on a mass scale a low vibration of works and law instead of a high vibration of freedom and healing. So, collective, let's stop being part of the problem and begin being part of the solution. Let's abandon that whole ideal that we have to earn our salvation or that there's things we have to do, and let's start embracing grace and mercy.